Welcome to Next to Madison, a podcast to help you live your best life.
Welcome back to another episode of Next to Madison. I am your host, Madison Malloy, and we have another fun and exciting episode coming your way. I am sitting down with the So Fired podcast girls. I have met them. They are located in Denver. They are two girls that became fast friends at work and then both got fired. And they decided to take a disappointment and turn it into an opportunity. They are both into positive mindsets, affirmations, morning routines. We kind of covered everything on this episode. So it's a very fun episode. We talked about toxic positivity, which is a new thing. We talked about what a healthy divorce should look like. We talked about gratitude. We talked about manifestation tricks of really feeling it, not just imagining it, but feeling it is that central key that's going to help things happen. We talked about mental health days. Are people just kind of taking advantage of it, or are these needed, or more needed? We talked about dating. We talked about when you sleep with them. They gave me advice. We talked about blowjobs because who doesn't want to talk about that? We talked about it all. It's a very fun episode. So I hope you guys enjoy, and we will be right back with the episode after this brief message.
Hey, it's Madison Malloy. I'm excited to announce that my new book, Time to Lighten the Fuck Up, is now available online and in stores. You can pick up your copy today by going to Amazon or barnesandnoble.com. This new book is a humorous self-help guide to help you remove the obstacles that are holding you back so you can take things less seriously and live a more enjoyable life. I'm so excited for you to read it. Now back to the show.
To this very fun and exciting episode of Next to Madison. With me, I have got the hilarious, insightful, smart, I could go on about these women, but they're from the So Fired podcast and they're amazing. So I'd like to welcome Chelsea Turano and Dr. Lindsay Regehr. How are you, ladies?
Great. Thanks for having us.
Yay.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much for coming on. I did your live show and it was amazing. And I'm so excited to have you guys on my podcast. But first, tell the listeners, because I think this is such a great story, of how you guys started the So Fired podcast, because it's a great story.
Yes. So Chelsea and I worked together at a chiropractic office. I was the assistant chiropractor. Chelsea was the office manager. And it didn't take long for us to become friends. And we would go to work on the same days sometimes. Sometimes we had to be separated, but
No. Okay, go on. You tell it.
So like on the days we got to work together, we're like,
Yeah.
just like big hug. So good to see you.
Like work got in the way.
Yeah, work got in the way of our friendship.
Okay.
So of our social life.
Yeah.
So we spent a lot of time chit-chatting and laughing at work.
Right.
Yeah.
And then we were kind of long story short, the boss fired us.
Yeah.
So she fired Lindsay first.
Yeah.
And then a week or two later, I was fired. And honestly, it ended up being the best thing that ever happened to us.
Mm-hmm.
And then, because you guys have such a cool name for this podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. So because we got so fired from our jobs, it fired us up to start pursuing our passions and living out our dreams and doing something really fun that we enjoy doing, which is podcasting.
Yeah. And the show has been a massive success. You guys have covered a lot of different topics. A lot of the things you guys talk about is stuff that we talk about here on our show too, which is healthy mindsets and positivity. So yeah, exactly. We all have our down days, right? So we'll start with you, Dr. Lindsay first. First of all, I want to know, because I feel like this is so sets the tone of the day and sets you up for your life and your week and all that. What is your morning routine?
Ooh, pressure. So I roll out of bed. My dog wakes me up with her giant paw around 5:30. I take her outside. I go for a walk. So I get movement in every single morning. And then I don't talk to anyone for the first 2 hours of the day. I always have my phone off or on silent or do not disturb mode. And then I do a little gratitude practice when I'm walking around outside. I'm grateful for X, Y, and Z. And then hustle on and get to work and then write down an intention for the day, a goal for the day, and 3 things to do.
I love that. I think it's great. Gratitude is such a key thing. And I've been trying to do that every morning, but sometimes you forget. But one of the key things that you said is the 2 hours with the phone off. I think the first thing people do is they go for their phone. And instead of being relaxed and being in that moment, they get stressed because an email's come in and now they have to respond. But I think
know,
that
and nothing is that
requires to get up.
important.
Right. So, but it requires you to get up earlier to be able to do that, I think.
Oh yeah, because no one's really awake before 7 a.m. usually. So the
True.
first hour and a half to 2 hours of the day, it's so quiet outside when I'm walking my dog. No one's talking to me. It's peaceful.
I love it.
But-
And
But at
Chelsea,
2
what is
hours and
yours?
1 minute. But at that 2 hour and 1 minute mark, I am calling. I'm texting. I'm calling.
Yep.
I'm like, I've been waiting. It's like a dog who knows what times they're gonna get fed, and it's not a minute earlier and not a minute later, but it's like, then I call her.
Yeah.
and then you answer.
Oh, that's amazing. So is yours similar, Chelsea, or is it very different?
No, it's really, really different.
She's more like go with the flow, and I'm more like I'm gonna freak out if I don't stick to a schedule and a regimen.
I wish I did. I honestly
Okay.
wish I was, but I'm in a stage of life where I'm like, I'm just gonna kind of accept what is instead of beating myself up. Like, I have just come to what am I saying? I've come to like accept the fact that like I don't want to work out early in the morning. Like every night I'm like, tomorrow we're gonna work out early, and then every morning I wake up and I'm like, oh, I don't want to. And instead of like fighting myself, I'm just gonna say, hey, we don't work out in the morning. Let's revisit this after like 12 p.m.
Yeah, I like that. Because
Right?
people just operate, I used to have trouble. I can't work out right when I wake up because we're naturally dehydrated and then I get really crampy. So either I drink a lot of water and then
Yeah.
I go, or I just do it. Like I'm going to go after this podcast.
Perfect.
So it's like that's where you can kind of get it in. But speaking of, you guys do a lot of health tips too. Have you guys heard of this thing? When you first wake up in the morning, you're actually supposed to drink 32 ounces of room temperature water.
Oh yeah, I do that as well. I do.
I'm a master cleanse person.
Mhm.
I drank
Your lemon water.
my lemon water. So room temperature, warm to room temperature with like 1 lemon and 2 tablespoons of maple syrup, because I'm a big fan of the lemon water, even though there are other times in my life where I'm like foraging for like sweets when I wake up, but
Yeah.
that's just because I'm out of sync a little bit. But yeah,
definitely I drink like a lot of water in the morning and then eat some protein and then finally have a coffee if I want to have a coffee.
Yeah, but
And
I drink like a decaf or like a half calf.
Mhm.
It's we are so like
Interesting.
you don't understand, man.
There's like a whole process to like when you can eat what and drink what. Like if I ever drink coffee on an empty stomach,
oh, toast. And then how much
Definitely.
oatmeal can you have in the ratio to protein? It's just like if you're in this, it's very hard not to kind of get like, for me, I got really swept up in it. Like, yeah.
Yeah,
So-
it's hard to overanalyze everything that I'm putting into my mouth or like every movement that I'm making, because like people are like wondering like what are you doing?
Or Instagram is, if that's your feed, it will continue to endorse and like reinforce all those things. Like it should only be like this much protein to this much carb. And like,
Yeah, right. I know. Well, the protein is so key.
but
I've been
it's
trying
like,
to
it's everything
double
right now.
Yeah. Oh, it is. Well, because I'm trying to like lift more. I watch Dr. Lindsay's Instagram workout videos.
Oh my God, aren't they so good? They're so impressive. I feel so lazy when I watch you and I'm like, I'm a piece of shit.
Okay, but
I
like,
know. I'm
you
like, I
don't
gotta
get
lift
me
more.
to go to the gym. It's like a half an hour. I'm like, oh
No, you know
what outfit am I gonna wear?
I have
Like,
to tell
don't
you,
wanna.
this is where I'm frustrated because I have to work out only to keep up with you because I hate working out. And it's like, I can't be like I don't want to be the frumpy one.
True. Hey,
Me
she's
either.
your motivation. You guys motivate each
No,
other.
she's
You're actually
literally
very good
like the
fit.
only thing that gets me to go. I'm like, oh, I'm a smidge competitive. So I'm like, and then one time I reminded you to work out.
I
like,
know. That was
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
flip-flop, yeah.
So how many days are you working out, Lindsay?
I mean, I do like 3 days a week of lifting, like fairly heavy lifting, and then like 2 days a week of yoga usually, and then maybe throw in like a Pilates or like skiing one of those days. So every day, maybe like
Yeah.
one rest day.
Yeah.
If
No, and
so.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, a big thing too is like I used to do a lot of cardio and now I'm like, what a waste of freaking time. It's
Yeah.
really the weights that are gonna do it. So if you want to do cardio, it's good for obviously your heart and longevity, but you
I
really
don't
shouldn't be
know.
doing
Well,
like
they
20
say,
minutes.
Like my
I mean, like,
hiking,
yeah.
like that portion of like extended cardio, if I don't know what kind of cardio you're referring to specifically, if
Like the
it's like a kinetic
elliptical or the
effect or running.
treadmill.
Yeah, but like, so I hike a lot in the summer, and in the absence of hiking now, I will do the stair climber for an hour
Oh God.
because I'm looking for the same prolonged effect that I would get if I were hiking, which is the equivalent, right? So that's the kind of
What?
cardio that I am now gravitating for. Even like our heart yoga, there's a lot of cardio with the heart being raised and stuff like that. So it's the mindset of what kind of cardio.
Right. And
What's cardio to you?
yeah, and like the research
Yeah.
that I've been looking into is that if you want to keep your metabolism up and at a pretty steady state
Yeah,
while
exactly.
you're aging, is that you do need to get a couple days of cardio in
Mhm.
and
Yeah,
then
okay.
lifting like 3 days a week.
Right. So I'll
So
either
like
do
45 minutes of cardio? Are we talking 30 minutes, 45 minutes
You
of
can do
cardio?
like
I
at
guess
least like 20 minutes, you
at
know,
least,
to
and it
get
should
your
be like
heart
5
rate
days
up.
a week because you're breathing and you're getting more oxygen. Like I can feel my
Yeah.
back lungs being utilized when I
Mhm.
do a prolonged hike because I'm like hanging on, and like you're using all of your lung capacity. So that's got to be a good thing, right?
Oh yeah.
You
know
hope
what? Like
so.
your endurance and I'm sprinting. So I'm like, just get me the cardio in 20 minutes. I can call it a day.
That's right. I prefer the
Yeah.
endurance, and she's the sprinter, and that you only see that at different times, right?
Yeah.
So the fact that we work out together in like various ways,
Mhm.
our respective favorites, it's fun to see where each one of us thrive.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Because it is so interesting. Like, you know, everybody's bodies works differently, what motivates them. I definitely am having less struggle getting to the gym now that I'm doing more weights versus cardio.
It's
But I
fun,
think
isn't
like
it? I do like
yeah,
weights.
and now I'm like, oh, well, I could do, you know, at least 15 minutes of cardio before the weights and then do the 45 of the weights.
Or like
That
a
might be
row
a good
machine.
balance.
Do this
Yeah,
one. And you only have
that's
to do
true.
7 minutes with that bad boy.
Perfect. I'm gonna do it. Yeah, because they say, and I've been working on my back a lot because it helps your posture. Because naturally we're in the computer and we're always like kind
Oh,
of
yeah.
curled over.
Oh, yeah.
So it's the back. I'm actually gonna do back and biceps today. I'm on 2 muscle groups a day. I'm gonna become a bodybuilder. No, I'm not. I have
so jacked.
I have no desire to be a bodybuilder, but I do want to be strong.
You will be.
Even more important.
Yeah, I watch those girls who do those competitions and I'm like, hats
Oh,
off to
is that
you,
on your
but
feet too? Those like girls that do. Is that just me?
no, but I've had some girls I went to college with that did it, and I'm like, oh my
Oh.
God, that's it, insane. But the thing they had, the amount of the timing of the eating, the
Yeah.
amount of eating, the amount of, I'm like, that is a job. That's like another job you really don't
I
get paid
know.
for.
It's kind of Lindsay.
That's
That you,
kind of me. I could totally do it. I just choose not to do it because I still love to eat cookies every single day. And that's just not part of the
totally.
bodybuilding program.
I actually am so grateful you're not going to do that because I
Yeah.
would lose you.
You would have to do it with me.
I would.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
we would lose ourselves together.
Yeah.
That would actually be
Because
really funny to follow you guys on
yeah.
a
Oh my God, it would
bodybuilding
be funny.
competition
It'd be
Oh my
journey.
God, that's a
I
really funny idea.
I know. I said I was going to do it when I was 50 because my friend just did one and she's like, would you do it like when you're 50? Because you're likely to place higher in the rankings because less 50-year-olds do it. I was like,
That is
sure.
such a
Yeah.
long time from now for
I know.
you.
Well, I do have the goal of being on a fitness magazine cover within a
Okay.
year.
You heard it first.
Yeah.
In a year, I like that. Okay, so
Uh-huh.
let's talk about
Like by
manifestations then, because you
2024.
guys are in that. You
Yeah, we
guys
are.
are okay. So what is your tips for manifesting more quickly?
Well, you know, basics, gratitude
Yeah.
All right.
to get you the right mindset. That's
Okay.
like 101. That's
Okay.
like below 101.
Here's my take on this. We'll go back
Yeah.
to you. I firmly believe in the feeling. If you
Uh-huh.
the feeling is what generates the manifestation of a desired effect.
And
If
I've
you-
heard that a lot. Yes.
The resonating in your heart, in your chest, like a full body resounding yes, and you're not even thinking, your body's just like yes, then I think it is bound to happen. And when you feel that electricity, it's bound to happen very, very quickly.
And
Yeah.
can you give us an example of something that you recently manifested that you felt that came to pass?
Can you remember one?
Well, we just had a really big
Oh, yeah.
guest be booked on our show that we're so excited about. And we've like talked to her, like met her multiple times.
Can
But
I tell
like
the
the
story? Okay, so
feeling.
she was
Okay.
one of our
Yeah.
bucket list. Okay, so I said to Lindsay the other day, I do feel very blessed that this is something I think I can do, or I've been blessed with the opportunity to know about manifestation. As a kid, I was really sick, and I had like very chronic asthma, and I was in the intensive care, and I like had been intubated, and I was just coming through. And I said, dear God, if you can get me through this, I'll dedicate my life to others. Right. And so I held up that end of the bargain because I did get better and my asthma went into remission. But
Wow.
so I became a social worker for 2-3 years, and then, felt like I had completed that, like that promise, and then found other ways in which to service others. But it's the manifestation part. So so we would establish some goals for last year's So Fired 2021, right?
Yeah.
And Lindsay said this, and this. And I was like, I can do that. And we found someone, we really resonated with him. Like I feel very electric when I see it. And then no sooner we were like, hey, any chance? And she was like, I've been waiting for you guys to ask me to be on your show. And so like, oh,
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like. I'm
and
sorry.
I think like
Yeah.
like for manifesting something, I have like the issue of making very big goals, and I'm like, I have such a big picture vision all the time. I'm like, oh yeah, we need to have like manageable bite
Because I
size
keep telling her, if you give me
goals.
a goal,
Yeah.
I can accomplish it.
Mhm.
Like there was nothing.
Yeah.
We had the goal last year of wanting this thing. So I think, okay, I'm getting away, but I think the thing is take manifestation out, maybe replace it with goal, maybe replace it with desire or something you just want really bad. Because I think manifestation is becoming the new word of like meditation, where it's so much
Mhm.
pressure that we're putting on ourselves. What's with these M words?
I
Huh?
know.
Yeah. No,
That we're
You
like,
can't stop alliterating.
we are like putting additional pressure on ourselves that if something happens, somehow it's my fault because I didn't manifest it. And it's like, well, that's not fair.
yeah. Or it's that whole thing where people say, your thoughts create your reality. So whatever happened to you, good or bad, you somehow manifested it. So
I
it's like
know.
you
I
got to
think
kind of take the pressure off a little bit. But when things don't really go your way, you got to think like, okay, what was I thinking at that process that I can shift?
and it also, just like we were saying in the beginning, the acceptance that sometimes no matter how maybe it just wasn't the right way for you, but that might actually not getting what you thought you wanted might actually, again,
That's actually probably what you needed, and that will lead to something
right.
better.
So what
Yes.
we didn't, our
100%.
podcast, we use the name So Fired because in every episode and throughout our lives, we are trying to identify, hey, this is the same thing as getting fired, but now seeing something that's so fired so much better. And that's the acceptance of manifestation, I think. If you can just find the good.
Yeah, because I mean, I'm a big believer in things happen for a reason. Like I've had things in my life that I thought were, that was the path, that was the goal, and then it didn't come to pass. But like, and you felt bummed, but then something better came along, and you realize, okay, maybe that was why. But then there's things that don't happen, and you're like, okay, how can I shift to make it happen? I mean, life is just ups and downs, but I think as much as it is to stay positive, there are going to be bumps in the road and things that you maybe don't manifest for some reason. And
Right.
it's like, how do you, kind of manage those feelings to where you're not staying in the low too long?
What is it called? Toxic positivity.
Oh yeah.
I think that's another one too. I just think we all need more grace, and that we should accept the fact that we are doing our absolute best in this particular moment.
Yeah, because I think it's like the manifestation and the toxic positivity are getting a little confused, where it's like, if I just think positive thoughts all the time and I'm like, I'm going to be a millionaire tomorrow, like, yay. Like, that's not manifesting. That's just like wishing and like being like super happy and positive. And you're not actually putting a feeling behind it or like intentional action behind it. So
Right.
without, you're just like kind of wishing something.
Alternatively, if things are in the shits, you're like, no, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. That too is a little toxic positivity, because you're like, it's okay to just be in the shits for a minute too.
Yeah, it's the whole thing. It's okay to not be okay. for a little bit. You just can't stay there. That's the thing, is when you start
Yeah,
staying
you
there
know,
and you
I-
start,
If you do stay there.
It's fine. You know, I have a breakdown every like few
What if
years.
you do stay
Yeah.
there? 'Cause I kind of feel like I hover right around there.
you're like, yeah, you're like one
I
foot
kinda,
in,
like,
one foot
hover
out.
closer to there than I
Yeah.
I'm more like, oh my God, this is so terrible. I'm like, all right. Good time to get on with the show. I got shit to do. Let's go.
No, it's so true. And sometimes it's like when you have like days where you're the most down or you're just bummed out, it's like sometimes when the best stuff would happen. I remember when I was like really going through, before my thyroid was diagnosed and my hormone testosterone issues that I've talked about on the show before. And I would feel depressed. And when I was in New York and I was going through depression, I'd be really sad and I'd literally be crying on the phone to my mom at like 6 o'clock at night. And I had to leave to go perform in front of a whole audience doing comedy. And what was funny about that is every time that happened, I would like crush it.
Yeah.
Like absolutely destroy it. So it was
Yep.
kind of like, oh, so I
That's
kind
where
of,
I live.
it's like, it's not that bad. I think it's because I was so pissed off I didn't care. And that's when it's like,
It's that
you
surge
having
of
fun.
emotions that are
Yeah.
released, because if you're crying, it's very cathartic. You're literally
Mhm.
like detoxifying the system. So for you to take at that very moment after detoxifying and like shedding all of that, the next thing you did, you chose to perform. Of course, it's going to go through the roof, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because it's like taking that kink out of the hose, kind of like chiropractic. When you get an
Mhm.
adjustment, you're
Yeah.
still releasing all that energy and you harnessed it into your performance.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. And then sometimes too, it's when you feel like you're kind of hitting rock bottom, so to say, it's like, okay, well, things can only go up. So there has to be a way.
Or they can go down, but
Yeah.
I mean, or they could kind of stay in a bottom. To dig even deeper at some point. Surface a little bit and take a breath and then go back down again. It doesn't always get better.
Yeah, that's true. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well,
It's like this fucking sucks, but like, you know what? I lost 10 pounds and I felt amazing from the stress, so it's all good.
yeah, right, exactly.
get my rent paid. I don't know what
Yeah.
to tell you.
Yeah, but somehow it always works out, right? You just never know. But no, I think that's good. But yeah, I like that term, and I really haven't heard it used a lot, which is toxic positivity.
Oh,
I have
I
not
feel
really
like
heard that
it's
a
so
lot.
overused.
Like again, our feed is predominantly
It's all like personal development, self-help, a lot of that. So
a lot of rose gold font.
yeah, a lot of
Yeah.
influencers being like, I'm making my matcha this morning.
Yeah, with that glass one.
Yeah.
With the straws and the chia seeds.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, it would be kind of funny though to see a thing where it's like,
We
I'm
should
being
do that.
positive today, and then just shit falls apart, and you're like, you know what?
Yeah.
Fuck it. But there's actually,
I'm so grateful.
yeah, there's this I forgot what it is, but it's like an Instagram account, and it's so funny, and it has these like beautiful like videos of nature or dogs running, whatever. Anyways, it's this guy, an Indian guy is the voice in the background, and it's so funny because the videos are amazing where it's this beautiful scenery, and he's like, some days just aren't your days. It's okay to say fuck it, give up, try again tomorrow. Like it's because he's honest, where he's like, some days,
Yeah,
not every day is going to be a great day. Fuck it. And his accent is so funny because it's true. He's like, sometimes you just need to go home and start over tomorrow.
yeah, I'm a big fan of that.
Yeah, sometimes it's like when you're upset, if you have the luxury to just be like, you know what, fuck it, I'm gonna go home and do nothing.
Yeah, usually
then
after
start
I
again
wallow
tomorrow.
in self-pity for a day, I'm good, and then I'm like, okay.
I'm like,
Let's
what the
go.
fuck? Why didn't you text me, bitch? Like, I'm having a moment. Like, you don't have moments. No.
I'm like never in that mode. So when I do, it's like
that's why
earth shattering. Yeah.
Well, let it know.
I know.
You didn't tell me.
That's because I want to talk to anyone.
But if you don't tell me you don't want to talk, how did I know? You never take those days.
I know.
But like, give me like a sign. A number.
Yeah, because then Chelsea's
pound
gonna,
sign.
Give you a pound
yeah,
sign.
Chelsea's gonna go crazy in her head and be like, "What did
Well,
I do?"
no, because
I'll
it's not
give
that
you
I'm
a-
crazy. It's just that like if you're
Right.
never like that,
Yeah.
I'd be like, well, what?
It's out of the
Why
ordinary.
would today be a different day? Like in
Well,
5 years, she never takes a knee.
yeah, well, exactly. If you were talking to somebody every day and then all of a sudden they change their thing, you're gonna go a little crazy
Oh,
and
I'm
be like,
supposed
"Huh?"
to know you're having a mental day.
Mental health day. They
Okay.
need to be like away message on
All
my
right.
text message.
Sorry.
I wanna talk about that because I think this is so a lot of companies they've got the vacation days, the sick days, and then they have one mental health day to where it's like they call it a me day, right? And it's like an extra day that you get to kind of have like a mental health day, or you can like use sick days and be like, I need a mental break day. Have we taken it too far in the world to where people are too we're too soft where it's like, yeah, you don't feel good, take the morning, like you're not mentally there, like try to take the morning off if you don't feel better. Like when do we need to kind of tough it up, not this I need to take a mental health day. Like I believe in it, but I feel like maybe it's going too far.
I mean, I feel like it just depends on the person because some people like me try to just like push through all my feelings and all my thoughts and all my stress and just like keep going and going and going because like I just have built, I don't know, just like make myself do it and like work through it. But I don't think that's typical or like expected of everyone because I think a mental health day is good for productivity. I think it's good to like refresh your mind and just kind of like get out of the BS of work sometimes. And I wish I had the luxury to take a mental health day once in a while, but unfortunately I have to like go to work and like physically do my job. But I mean, I don't even think one mental health day is enough. I feel like if you like maybe like at least once a month, I don't know, because like if you're like, for example, my husband works for this tech company and it's like you have to revolve your days off around like their schedule and like when it works for them. I'm like, dude, you need a mental health day because like they push so hard that it's like getting fatigue and burnout. So I'm a fan.
Okay. And Madison, I too would like to answer this question because I have a different perspective.
Okay.
So, Madison, what I hear you like, you asked, like, do you think we're like taking it too far or maybe getting too soft and like addressing more needs or issues than maybe we need to just say day off or not, right? However you choose. I think what's happening is there's a big shift. Companies and corporations now care more now than they ever have to the needs of their employees, right? It's just millennials and Zers have non-negotiables.
Yeah.
Their non-negotiables are mental health, wellness, inclusivity as it comes to their loved ones and their family. And if you want us, this is the new way in which they are now equally assessing who they choose to work with and for. So I'm going to go to a company that does honor that because like you're saying, we do need it. And it's just, we can't help that prior generations didn't see the
value in it.
It's just that other generations it wasn't in their forefront of their scope of it. It's just now when you have children suicide through the roof, you have gun terrorists like in our schools, like there's never been more of a time to focus on mental health. So the companies that are actually taking that into consideration are really have their ear on the pulse of like society, today's future society.
Yeah. But I totally agree with you. I think it's great, but maybe it needs to be renamed because me personally, if I was working at a corporation, I don't know if I'd want to call my boss and say, I need a mental health day.
But they're the ones who are using their terms.
I get that.
That's their language.
Exactly. But for me, I don't want them to like go in their head and come up with a million reasons of what's wrong with me. Right. So I think, and maybe this is why people aren't taking full advantage of it, even if it's there. Maybe they just need to name it like a me day. Hey, I just need to take a me day. I just need to maybe you have to do laundry. Maybe you have to like take your kids on a field trip. But maybe it's like the language behind it. I don't know. This is just my opinion. But I remember my friend saying she has this company and it's a mental health day and like she doesn't want to say it. She'd rather just take a vacation day because she doesn't want the stigma behind her. And then the stigmas are being removed from mental health, thank goodness. But people still have. So maybe we need to like rename it. But yeah, the older generations didn't have it because that was a generation of you sweep your feelings under the rug.
Exactly. But
You
this
don't talk about it.
generation, millennials and
Yeah.
Zers, like late millennials, such as myself, millennials
Yeah.
and Zers, they do value
Yeah.
and they celebrate mental health.
Well, 100%.
So
I'm
it's
like
like
100% behind it, but I wouldn't want to go to an employer. And this is me, somebody who wrote a self-development book. I wouldn't
but
want to
that's not
say
the same as
I need a
mental health.
mental health day because I don't want them to think like come up with their own conclusions. So for me, it's like, okay, if I had a company, maybe I would name it like a me day. But this is like a whole thing that's going on. And I think one day, as Lindsay said, a year is not enough. Because
Yeah.
mentally, I think we all kind of break once a month. Some once a week, some once a day.
That's why they have mental health days.
Yeah, or like me days. I mean, that's why I don't work every single day in the office because I get burned out and I have so much energy coming at me all the time, like every single day. I'm like, you guys, I cannot see patients 5 days a week because I
can't
mentally cannot handle it, like emotionally can't handle it.
So depleting.
And I know there's like tricks to like preserve your energy and everything, but at some point people's like chisel right through that. Like,
well, it's true. Sometimes people are just gonna like
and
piss you
no
off.
room for me.
Yeah.
No, it's very, very true. That is true. So that brings us to kind of the next. Do you guys want to talk about relationships? I know that Lindsay, you're married. Chelsea, you're married. Do you guys want to get into? I'm not married, so I don't have any. I can offer dating tips of what I see my friends doing wrong that I'm not doing anymore.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah,
this sounds fun.
Well, I'm like really married.
I am in the process of getting divorced.
Okay,
so a full spectrum of ladies representing like relationships.
Yeah, okay. And so we have somebody who's never been married. I read something on Instagram. This was actually really fucking funny. Somebody put, it was like a quote or where it said somebody asked, why have you never been married?
Yeah.
And the person responded, I guess I'm just lucky.
100%. And I do look at you like you are luckier than a lot of us.
Well, I mean, it depends. Sometimes I have friends that have gone through divorces and financially come out on top. So I'm like, oh God, doing it all on your own sometimes sucks.
I mean, I'm basically a child bride because I met my husband when I was 20 and
I'm a child bride. I said that once before and it really landed. It's super funny.
I love that. I love that.
And now I'm 34. So like
a long time.
Yeah.
I think that's great. So, and I have a lot of friends that I went to college with that married their boyfriends from college, and they have the most solid, happy relationships. I can't imagine them. They're never going to get divorced. I literally would turn over in my own grave and I'm not even dead if they got divorced. Like, but I think there's something to it because you grow up together, you build together. So it's not like this is mine, this is yours. It's like you guys are kind of going through hey, we got student loans or we've got to get an apartment or we have 6 roommates and then we can move it. So it's kind of like you're building together versus getting married later in life where people are more established. I think it becomes more difficult. Like, what's mine, what's yours? So Chelsea, Lindsay, you did it right.
Yeah.
If I could go back, I would have just found somebody in college and just locked their ass down. What was I thinking?
Also, the key is that you need to like live a lot of life by the time you're 20. And I've lived like a lot of lives and sledded it up. I sledded it up.
No, you did not.
You don't even know me in high school. Or pre-Austin.
There's only like this many years.
But you can get a lot done in that time.
She was like 16 to 20.
Like this many years of like hoeing around. And that's living.
It's true.
You know what? Like the time I had, that was enough for me.
Oh yeah, those 2 years.
From 16 to 20.
Hey, she got lucky. She avoided the STDs, the HPV, all that bullshit that's going around.
I dated douchebags. Like
that's awesome.
I had
pharmaceuticals are fine.
Yeah, I feel like I had enough experience in the dating world that I was like, okay.
No, I love your relationship. It gives me hope.
Yeah, I hope
It
it
really
does
does.
give you hope. And
Do
like,
you
I
do you
don't
want
have any
to?
hope, but I
Yeah.
do enjoy watching a healthy
Yeah.
relationship because it's the only one I know in my life.
yeah.
Okay. Do you
Literally
think?
the only healthy. So I'm so grateful you have that
Well, thank you.
because I will never.
Well, you can't say that because you're getting your
No,
words
it will still be fucked up. I will be there
carried.
and I will be one half of an equation and it will forever be fucked.
So do
I
you?
am
Okay.
broken.
So wait, do you? So you and your husband are getting divorced? Has this been a long process? Is this new? Is this? Does he know?
Well,
Sure, keep trying to tell him and he just doesn't listen. Yeah, so getting divorced is super hard to navigate. It's everybody romanticizes about it and they think it's black and white. We don't love each other anymore, therefore it's over, therefore we're moving out. And again, just like everything else in this world, the landscape of that is so much different. You have the cost of living has skyrocketed. It's in the last like 10 years that I've been married. So now for me to re-enter into the workforce, I'm at a serious detriment because it's like I'm kind of unhireable. I need to make between 6 to 8, maybe $10,000 a month.
Yeah.
And like where in stream am I going to yield in front of like a 28-year-old or a 32-year-old that can do the things that I'm like, so what does that mean? We still live together and that's for me, that's such a kind thing because it's like, hey, you really this doesn't work for you, then beat it. You know what I mean? And or
I think yeah.
where I am, the way we're doing this seems to be it's kind.
it's very amicable. And
Yeah.
honestly, it's a pretty good deal.
I
Like,
thought so
how many,
too.
you know what? My husband doesn't bring
I
me
want a
breakfast in bed
roommate.
every day.
Yeah, it's almost like you have a roommate that pays your bills.
Yeah.
I
and
need a
it's such
roommate
good
that
deal.
pays my bill.
I can teach you. I am currently writing a book.
Okay, good. Because
So
I need this. I'm like, the roommate to pay your bills. Who is he? Where or she?
what dick do I have to suck to get my bills paid?
Exactly.
Just that.
Yeah.
I read
I
that
know.
book. It's good. It had me chuckling, right? And I
Yeah.
was like, okay.
Yeah.
I was reading
'Cause
at
it's
work,
true.
as a matter of fact, and I was like, that's pretty funny.
Yeah, because it's true. We've all thought it, right? You're just like,
Oh yeah,
how
no doubt.
like I would see, especially living in New York City, which was so
Oh,
expensive.
I thought about that. I lived
Oh
in
my
New York
God.
City, and I thought that every time I left the house, I'm like, are you the one? Are you the
I
one?
know.
You'd be online at the little like corner store, and you're like, what about you?
Well, because
Expensive,
rent
right?
was so expensive,
So expensive.
everybody had to have a roommate, right? So I lived in this high rise for many years, and every year I would call the landlord, and I would tell him, hey, I'm going to renew, and if a new roommate was coming in because the old roommate was going out. I've got a funny story about my old apartment, actually. It's very funny. He would say, why don't you just move in your boyfriend? And I thought, I don't have one. And he goes, you never have one. I go, okay, I don't need to get in this too with my landlord. Okay, can
Hey,
you just
landlord.
not raise my rent since I'm,
That's a little invasive.
But
why are you
well,
stalking me, bitch?
exactly.
You're like, mind your own goddamn business. How do you know what I don't have?
Exactly. So
I
I had
sleep over there. There's a lot of away games.
yeah, totally. So I had this apartment that I lived in for years. I moved in there when I was 23 years old. So doorman, my brother and I, when he was working in New York, we got this apartment together. And we had a doorman, a gym, a rooftop. It was the best building. Made so many friends.
Where was it, Madison?
It was like right by Bryant Park, like 39th and 5th Avenue. It's a great apartment. And I stayed there for years.
Smart.
Because it was expensive to move. The landlord was great. He wasn't really messing with the rent. He understood if I had financial troubles, he wouldn't raise the rent. I always paid him. He knew I would always pay. I just couldn't afford, a crazy increase. So I was very lucky in that regard. But I had the main room, and then there was like a makeshift room, which was a very nice room.
Yeah.
So I always ended up, my brother was there, and then he moved, and just because the closet space was small, I think it made more sense for like guys to live there. So I had all these male roommates that were great. And obviously one of the prerequisites of being my male roommate was that I couldn't be attracted to you because that could create an uncomfortable situation.
Yeah, totally.
You don't shit where you sleep. So
or eat.
Oh yeah, right. I think sleeping is worse, right? I'm like, I'd rather like job I can leave, but like this is your house. So all these men started like moving in, and they stayed for
All
years.
these men.
But here's the thing. Every man that came into that room ended up leaving. The only reason they left the apartment, was because they met the love of their life and got married. I'm not kidding. And
You're like, good luck, Chuck.
You are good luck, Chuck. That's sweet.
It was hilarious. And in September of 2019, I actually ended up going to 2 weddings, back-to-back weekends.
No shit.
Of 2 of my male roommates. And I would become friends with their new girlfriends that are now their wives. They all send me Christmas cards. I mean, it's absolutely surreal. Every single one. Except for one, because he was just like, I'm not going to get married. I'm going to bang the world. And then he just left. I know. So this was like this room. And I used to make a joke. I said, fine, the next time I have to find a roommate, I'm just going to switch rooms. I'm just going to give him the bigger room, and I'm going to go into that room. But then I moved in a comedy friend of mine, and let's just say he's very single. So it didn't work for everybody.
Oh.
But it was one of those things where they actually, I think they were on a mission. And my last roommate, who got married, who was one of my favorites, he went on, he said, I'm joining Christian Mingle. And I remember him sitting in the living room, like filling out his profile. And like 2 weeks later, this beautiful girl, Emily, comes waltzing through the door. And then they dated for 2 years because he lived with me for 2 years. We became good friends, and now they're married, and they have a dog and a baby and a big house in New Jersey. And the magic of the room. It was this room. All the guys met the love of their life. I know. It was a really, really crazy thing. But yeah, dating and marriage. I think all relationships are what you make them, and they can be tough. And sometimes it's better to separate. But I would say, Chelsea, you've got the best of both worlds, because most people would be like, beat it or whatever. I think that's a good thing.
It's just so fired.
It is a so fired.
The ultimate definition of so fired.
Mm-hmm.
So do you guys think you'll ever move out from each other, or?
I don't know. For the foreseeable future, I gotta tell you, there's a part of me that has a sneaking suspicion he doesn't want me to leave. Because I think
I could see that.
we like each other, and the thought of like being alone just for the sake of being alone.
Yeah.
It feels that's sad, right?
Yeah.
When either one of us start like seeing someone very exclusively, I think that will happen naturally, right?
Yeah.
But for the time being, we are an extension of each other's family. And we just, although we don't see each other very often, he still is like a family member to me. And I don't know, it's like Lindsay's here, and like people are coming and going, and it's just not your traditional like life house.
It's not. And but since I moved next door, now you definitely can't move.
Yeah, so. Right. Where am I gonna go?
Wait, you moved next door to her?
Yep.
We're very
close. We're very close. We enjoy each other's company. It's not just on
That's hilarious. So you guys,
we really like each other. Yeah. What you see is what you get.
How many apartments are on that floor? Because Nicole's on that floor. Do you guys know everybody on the floor? Should I move into the damn floor?
Yes. And then I just went dancing with my other neighbor down the hall, and that was fun. So it's like, yeah. So it's just these are things that matter to us, right? And everyone's got the negotiations, and it's like, I'm not gonna give up my life. So if we can find a way in which we love and respect each other enough, then like all of our individual needs are met, whatever that looks like, then it can look like this. Like things don't have to be the way they've always been.
No, I agree. And I think that's good. It's kind of like, let's start normalizing healthy divorce. Like whatever just because it's the marriage, just because the marriage doesn't work out. Yeah. Well, it kind of looks like what you have, Chelsea.
Yeah, no, I do feel very grateful. Certainly there are days when I'm like, that's it, I'm gonna. But and then it kind of, and I have to tell you, what I've realized is I'm not as perfect as I thought I was.
Yeah, well, that's good. Self-acceptance.
How much I like my crevices and like jagged edges really do play a part in relationships, right? And you just think, oh, it's all them. And you're like, if I took a little inventory, it's like, maybe it's not all them.
Well, I think that's good. And we should talk about that, where it's like, people need to be, I think it comes down to like self-awareness, right? Like I'm single, and I've I had been very closed off to dating. I didn't want to do it. I didn't know what state I was going to be in. I was just like, and then I finally, when I got back to New York, I opened myself up and I met some jerks and I met some great people and I met people that just ended up being friends. I met people that I want to do business with. And then I stayed open and I've met, but each date or each, if you call them short relationships, you learn something each time. And you like, now that I'm so self-aware, I'm taking that with me. You know, like I don't have to be so like I'm kind of what you would call an open book. I mean, I did kind of just put my diary out into the world, it feels like. So sometimes you have to hold back a little bit when you're getting to know somebody, not be so tough. You're not running a boardroom meeting all the time. You can sit back and here's the thing for me. So I've always had to make decisions, take care of myself. I've always been on my own. So when I go on dates, I don't want to make a decision. And it's like a new thing. I don't even order my own meals. I don't open the door and I don't order my own meals. They're literally like, I'm like, you know what? I make decisions all the time. Like, I don't eat shellfish. Like, if you want to share a bunch of stuff, you pick, like, I'm good. Like, the only thing I order is a drink. I make no decisions.
I love that because I feel like I make all the decisions all day, like every day at work. And then when my husband's like, where do you want to eat? I'm like, don't ask me one more question. I cannot make a decision. I'm like, can you plan a trip for us? I literally can't do it. Like, can you pick it on Airbnb? I can't do it. So it's nice to have someone to make a decision for me every once in a while.
It is. And I think the guys kind of like it, you know, but here's the whole thing.
Can I say something? I have counterpoint to all y'all. So my current life is always, we're gonna do that because it was very sexy not to make decisions. I don't know, you pick, I don't know. And then they would pick. And then that was the unofficial terms of the relationship, was that party would make all the decisions because I handed over decision making in the beginning.
Oh, so now you're onto something.
Now you're like, well,
oh shit,
I'm older now and I have an opinion. And they're like, whoa. They don't say it formally, but that's when relationships get reassigned and you're like, oh, now you're changing it up because you want to have a voice 2 minutes ago, you know, like a couple years ago, you didn't give a shit. And now, like, so when I do go out, I make a point of making every decision because I'm like, I almost don't remember, can I make a decision? Do I have a decisive voice? And am I okay? Because it's very uncomfortable to have like a definitive decision without saying, I don't know, what do you think? And just saying,
no, you make an excellent point, and that's true. So it's like it's a balance, right? To where it's like, okay, you're making decisions, but if you feel like, I just don't want to make a decision tonight, you know? But I see what you're saying, how it could set the tone. So it's a dance. And the other thing too, and you're going to notice this, Chelsea, when you get back out into the dating world, it's the old question that always creeps up that Lindsay doesn't have to deal with anymore, which is when they sleep with them. And it's so complicated, but I heard from a woman, she's in her 50s. I mean, she's not married, so I probably shouldn't be listening to her, but she said, you should wait 90 days. 90 days.
Amazing.
That's great. 90 days.
Yeah,
that sounds like a long time.
Yeah, no, it's when you don't.
Wait, is that too long?
If they are breathing, then you sleep with them.
Okay, I was gonna say like
no.
Okay,
but
yeah,
it depends. Do you like this person? Because if you like them, 90 days. If you're like, then like you can do it tomorrow.
I waited like 30
days.
if
you don't like him, you do it whenever.
Don't even
like you. That's because I liked him.
Lost your virginity to each other.
Okay, wait. So this is true. Okay. So no, that's a really.
I'm not that much of a child bride.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go into this 90-day phenomenon because I like this because they do say 3 months is like how long it takes to know if it's really gonna, like the 3-month marker is like
100% Bible.
It's the make or break 100%. You're either gonna go pretty much a distance or it's gonna end by 3 months.
And it won't end. If you're making it to 3 months, they're in it for the long haul. If they're not in it, they're
yes.
gonna peel off in like 10 days, right?
So you make them wait 90 days. Do you tell them this though? Hey,
No.
you gotta
They
fucking
figure it out. They like
Okay.
the game just as much as you. Okay, here's the problem with women. Women don't know to enjoy the gaming of this whole thing. Like,
amen.
we are
I
entering
agree.
a dance in the whole from the very beginning. Like, I like you. So what I was doing was like trying to manufacture an outcome where I rather like I came to you and I had an aha moment, which I'm like, why don't I just enjoy and see how this plays out? Like it's my own Netflix series. Like, what's he gonna do? Like,
I
don't
like
Yeah, don't be like, okay, this has to work out like this, and like you better call me this.
why
or,
did we
like,
text
yeah,
me
like,
at
text
him
me,
over?
yeah.
Like, have like mess with them a little bit.
Yeah.
In a playful banter kind of, don't throw it all out there. Make them,
yes.
if working for it is the word that like irritates you, then like just have fun and game together.
So okay, so what's the thing? How do you keep if you're spending all this time together? Now you're in like
Shouldn't be spending all that time together.
You should have
True.
plans.
You should
But
be busy.
how do you like swat them away?
You don't do anything with them. You ignore them. You are too busy. I'm sorry, not that night. Maybe in 2 weeks. Oh, shoot. I've got to like, they'll start following you. They'll come to you. They'll come to your work. They'll bring you presents. They will, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like, they'll find a way.
Like, find your attention and be like, okay. And
They'll
you just
let
gotta
you
play it.
shoot.
You gotta play it cool and be like,
Swear to
yeah.
God.
know.
Don't
Relationships
text,
are
don't respond,
so
forget.
complicated.
Because then they're like, ooh, this is fun. Or they're like, okay, I'm not here to entertain
Yeah,
you.
like if they still want
Yeah.
to do the chase and play the game, then like,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, they're
like,
into it.
we'll play.
I like
And if they're not, like, well, we solve that problem.
Yep.
I like
Honest to
that.
God.
No,
Make them
that's
do the work.
okay. You guys are I'm gonna bring you guys on as my new dating coaches. You are now hired.
You do know our
We
shit,
start
though.
this weekend.
But here's the thing.
I'm gonna give you access to my phone.
I'm a hot mess. And then I'm like, Lindsay, what do you think? And she's like, no, that's stupid.
So
And then occasionally we're in agreement.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. So I had this one guy I was kind of hanging out with in New York and everything. He was pursuing me. And then it was like maybe 6 dates or whatever. Anyways, I decided I would go there with him because I didn't like it. I knew we weren't going to work out, right? We were different politically.
How did you know?
He was damaged as a child. I liked my childhood. Like we were just very different.
Okay.
And but he was fun and we had a good, so I'm like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
But as soon as I did that, I became hooked.
Yes.
And
everybody knows this.
reversed.
No.
And all of a
Can't
sudden I'm like, why
separate
isn't he
the
holding
physical
me
from
all
the
the time?
emotional.
Okay, here's
Yes.
come on, Madison. You know this.
I know.
You are
I had to learn it one
a
more
professional
time.
single lady. Don't you know that women? Okay,
We can't stick it.
no, not if you don't want to like this person.
Yeah,
Like,
there's
you should
always
assume that you
feelings.
will have romantic feelings if you're going to have sex with this person. It's like, are you prepared to lose the next 6 months of your life over this guy because you're going to have feelings because you had connections? You're like,
there's
it's
something
just the
wired in
body.
us. We
That's
get
how women are
attachment.
programmed to have babies and like care about
Yes.
the person that impregnates
True.
them.
This is true. I know, to care. Yeah, exactly. I know. I wish you could just, but I guess that's why they invented vibrators. You know?
Yeah,
Exactly.
it is exactly.
We'll put an earpiece in your ear and be like, don't do it.
Don't do it. It's
Don't
not
do
worth
it.
it. Yeah, honest to God, it's like, oh, this is gonna be so great and this is gonna be different. It's never
I
different.
just-
Yeah,
I-
invest
you know,
in like
oh
a
my
True.
handful of
God, get a
vibrators.
girlfriend,
Like,
laugh really hard. You're gonna
yeah.
be fine.
You'll be
Go
good.
dancing. Go
Yeah.
dancing. That
Okay,
is
well,
like-
we should all go dancing. You
like,
know what's
where you're
funny
just like
though?
grinding up on people and okay, well, this is for me.
That's for her. Like,
I'm a raver.
I was like, huh? I was gonna say dry. I was like, it's funny. I was telling somebody about this where I said, when you are younger, I'm talking like high school, middle school, whatever, right? We're more prude and we don't want to do these things. And then all of a sudden you go through this like slut phase, okay? College in your 20s. And then all of a sudden you start getting older and older and you're going, and you bring it back to the middle school days. So it's like you go through this like period where you're like prude, slutty, well, yeah, because now I can't get attached to anybody. So now I feel like I'm 40 years old. I'm literally,
you've been married for so long and she has
you guys,
been. But
you guys,
she's
I'm
been,
the
like,
40. You guys,
okay,
I'm gonna be
okay,
like,
you were just in your prude
yeah.
years.
I've been in my for the last like 20 years.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
now I am like, now she
And I'm like, I'm uncomfortable with that.
I know,
Yeah,
to where you're like,
anything is good to go.
yeah, so I'm like in a totally different
Okay.
area, and I'm like, okay, I just turned 40 and now I'm gonna be like dry humping dudes. I'm like, yeah,
So
you know what?
funny. It's actually
I'm
really funny.
sucking dick for a house. And if I have to dry
You
hump
don't
some
need
fucking
that.
thighs,
You don't even
that's what
wanna
I'm
do
gonna
that.
do. I'm just kidding.
You don't want to do that.
I'm kidding.
Suck dick because you have a house and you let them in, and you're like, come into
Exact-
my house.
Exactly. Yeah, this is true. But yeah,
That'd
it's
be
kind of like,
harder to do
but you-
that when somebody's in your house, and now you're like, get the fuck out.
well, I used to do this on stage where I was like, you can't suck dick without purpose. The purpose
Yeah.
of getting something in return. Because it's just like,
Right.
if they're not doing anything for you, why are you doing that? So it's
Unless you want to.
Unless you want to. It's a power move.
It is a power move.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
what, the fucking TMJ?
No.
No.
It's not like, oh, I'm gonna blow job until you come. It's like, I'm gonna blow job you
Until I
you're
stop.
like, no, and you're like, oh, and like you don't actually, the less you do, the more it works out.
Yeah.
You could be like,
And then it's like, it's also a power move because it's like, you don't even know.
what? I
You
know.
don't even know. Like, am I going to stop now? I don't know. And am I going to, no.
I'm not gonna put my mouth around it. I'm
Yeah.
just gonna get you to think that I'm gonna do it, and then I'm gonna psych you the fuck out for a while. I'm like,
Attention, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
and you're like, God. And you're like, I don't know. Hold that
Yeah.
thought. I'll be right back.
Oh my God, this is it. You guys, so we're running out of time. This has been
Oh,
this has been
no.
such a fun episode.
Oh, Jeff's a safe place to end on.
I agree. I think we ended on a high note.
Oh,
literally a high note.
no.
Okay, so tell the audience where they can find the podcast, where they can individually find you guys, all that good shit.
Okay, so you can follow us on Instagram at SoFiredPod, at Chelsea Turano, at Dr. Lindsay Lifestyle. And then our podcast is available anywhere you get podcasts. Highly recommend you subscribe on YouTube because you're really gonna
missing
get
out on this.
Yeah, you're missing out if you're not watching it.
You ladies were so much fun. So much fun. I loved it. Yeah, you guys, thanks for being on the show, and thank you to
Thank you for
everybody who's
having me.
listening, wherever you are. We will see you next time to find out who's next.
Hey, your host here, Madison Malloy. Please make sure to subscribe to the show on all podcast platforms, and please rate and review us on iTunes and Spotify. Also, if you have any questions or comments, you can email us at contact@next2madison.com. I thank you again for listening. Bye.